Coming up next, an interview with a hilarious singer-songwriter from the 70s and 80s who is revered for his lyricism and his style on a song that became his biggest solo hit, but he didn't write it, even though he was one of the most prolific writers of his time. But the blockbuster movie that made the song its theme wanted him for his amazing voice. He actually got a mention in the opening credits as sung by. The song went to #1. It was nominated for an Oscar, which ironically lost to a song from a film directed by a guy who would hire him to write the theme for his next movie. But this time he had someone else sing it. It got him nominated for an Oscar again, this time as the writer. And then years later, it became the go-to karaoke track for people in the Philippines. It actually became one of the most popular songs ever in that country. The story, the interview is coming up next with this guy, Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember coloring the Easter eggs and hunting for Cadbury eggs and such, you're gonna love this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now, click the big red button and click the bell so you always know when our interviews and our stories are coming out. We also have a Patreon, we have additional content there. That helps us to keep the channel going and keeps getting interviews and such. So it's time for another edition of our series, Revelations. This is, of course, a program where featured artists go deep on the greatest songs and their albums. They give us inside information and little-known stories about their biggest hits, from the song's origins to its legacy to its uses in pop culture. You'll get rare insights that only the artists themselves can give. For today's episode, man, we've got a great one. It's one of the funniest guests I've had on the show. We've had him on before. He made his bones with his smooth yacht rock classic, On and On. Talking about Eric Clapton's favorite singer-songwriter amongst a lot of other people's favorite, Stephen Bishop. Known for his witty lyrics and his sensitive songcraft, Stephen Bishop was hired to sing the theme for the 1982 blockbuster Tootsie, It Might Be You. It might be you, all of my life. Such a good song. It was actually written by Alan and Marilyn Bergman. They, of course, the Oscar-winning lyricists behind The Way We Were. And Windmills of Your Mind.
Like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind.
With music by Dave Grusin. Stephen Bishop admitted that singing the song, it was an assignment. He was just hired to sing. You know, the producers wanted his tender voice, and they paid him well for it. When he watched the movie, when he watched Tootsie, it wasn't edited yet. It was like 4 hours long and had a bunch of temp music by Kenny Loggins, who was Bishop's friend and, of course, the soundtrack king at that time. The song went to #1 on the AC charts and #25 on the Hot 100. But in the streaming era, it's become bigger than many of the biggest hits of that year. It's definitely one of the best love songs of the 80s for sure. And it was nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Song, and Bishop performed it at the 1983 ceremony. But it lost to Up Where We Belong from An Officer and a Gentleman. Up where we belong. And ironically, Taylor Hackford, who directed An Officer and a Gentleman, used Bishop's song Separate Lives in his movie White Nights a couple years later, but he actually had Phil Collins and Marilyn Martin sing it. We have the story behind that one. I'll link to it. It was a #1 hit on the Billboard charts, and it also gave him an Oscar nomination, another one for Best Original Song. This time he sang it. But in the years since the song's release, it's become even bigger, especially in the Philippines, where it's the go-to karaoke song there, one of the country's most popular songs ever. A designation that has blown Stephen Bishop's mind. He's actually been there and seen it in person. Truthfully, not to get too personal here, but I knew the first time that I heard this song as a little kid that it had set the bar for any future romantic relationship. I'm being serious. I knew the tenderness of this composition would have to perfectly match the fury that I would feel for the woman I would marry. Not to get too cheesy, but this song became the measuring stick. And I'm so grateful that after almost 20 years of marriage, I feel that for my wife as much today as I did the day I met her. Sometime I have to introduce you to her. She's so cool. Anyway, let's get into the story of this classic hit. As we go into it, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eye, with the glasses I'm wearing right now. You can't go wrong with Zenni. You can choose your own pair. You can get blue blocks with your prescription. Actually, you can get really any kind of prescription you want there. Blue light, though, they protect your eyes from digital blue light that we come into contact every day. Check them out at our info button right up here or the link below. Here is Stephen Bishop with the story. It Might Be You, which #1 on the AC charts, went to number 25 on the pop charts, but that, of course, nominated for an Oscar, written by the great songwriting team, the Bergmans.
Alan and Marilyn Bergman.
Yeah. And, of course, Dave Grusin. Of course, they wrote The Way We Were and The Windmills
they're
of Your
okay
Mind.
as songwriters.
They
only
wrote a
wrote
few
like
songs.
Windmills of Your Mind, a classic.
I think they were one of only just a few people have been nominated twice in the same year for a song in the Oscars, and they did it twice. So.
We went to interview Alan Bergman for our movie, and they actually live in a house made of Oscar. The whole thing is a gold Oscar. Just do that.
I believe it.
I mean, they had so many Oscars in their house, it was like your eyes hurt.
You had to have been a fan.
Oh, yeah, I'm a huge fan. And just really admire them and respect them so much.
Well, the song was an assignment.
It was an assignment,
You've
you're
said.
right.
It's telling me it might be you.
So tell me about that.
It was
coming
through
together.
Gorfaine Schwartz. These guys, and it was, they never called me again after that. Maybe because I got, stoned in the studio or something. I was actually stoned on the vocal. It sounds stoned too. There's a, if you watch the movie, there's this one part where, it's like a collage of things, and
right,
Tootsie's doing things, and I'm doing this song called "Go Tootsie Go."
Yeah,
and then they actually said, "We want you to sing Roll Tootsie Roll." And I said, "Do I have to? Do I have to?" Yes. So I roll, Tootsie, roll. But I was, big time. And I was really flying, on that vocal. I was, go, Tootsie, go. And I got into it. Works in the movie, but boy, I tell you listen to that track on its own, it's like,
oh, I know.
Suspect.
We're riding high, rolling along.
And so I went out to listen to the song. Dave Grusin sang it for me in his office, the guy who wrote the music. Time, I've been passing time, watching trains go by, And I said, wow, this is a nice song. Little did I know I'd be singing it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Time, I've been passing time.
It's a song, though, that it's like, Sinatra never wrote his own music, but
right.
He could make a song his own by the way that he approached it.
Neither did Elvis.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and the Elvis, you can't imagine really anybody else singing All Shook Up, because it's him.
Yeah.
And that's what a great voice can do to a song, and that's what you did with It Might Be You.
Lying on the sand, watching seabirds fly.
They were looking for a specific sound for that, is what I've always read about it.
Right.
They want it, and your voice just fits it so well. What do you remember about recording it? Because I think it's one of your best vocal performances.
I always felt a little insecure about that vocal, actually. I don't know why. There's a couple of notes and things but for the most part, I see the effect it's had. It's had huge effect on my life.
All of my life.
I had this great audio guy, Umberto Gatica.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, try this mic, and and he had me experiment. And I used a different kind of a mic on that. It was a tube mic or something. I don't know, but that made my voice sound great. And I just went there. They were there. Alan and Marilyn Bergman were there, and Sidney Pollack, the director. The one thing that's a funny little trivia thing that not many people know is that, and Alan doesn't remember this, but I remember it. And it was one of the lines, if I found the place, would I recognize the face? That wasn't there.
I recognize the face.
It was another line da-da-da-da-do, watching lilacs grow. And I said, in the meeting we had, I said, I can't sing about lilacs. I can't do it. I just can't sing lilacs. I don't want to sing about a flower. And Alan went, oh, but I like lilacs. I said, I'm sorry, but I can't sing that. And so they came back with those two lines. If I found the place where I recognize the face. Which they had so many great lines in it already.
I read something about that you watched about 4 hours of the unedited movie.
Oh, right.
And they had some background music.
It was all Kenny Loggins music.
It was Kenny Loggins.
It was Kenny Loggins music for everything. And I thought, God, they have Kenny Loggins. What do they need me for?
What were the songs? Do you remember?
Not at all. But I remember I saw it was like 4 hours. It was the early clip of the movie. And I wish I would have, well, I don't know how you remember that, but it was scenes that I'd never seen in the final movie.
They were on the cutting room floor.
On the cutting room floor. And it was a great thing to be involved with.
Did you know that there'd be a big movie when you were watching it at that time?
Well, Dustin Hoffman, you kind of get an idea. You know, I mean, Dustin Hoffman's no slouch. Yeah, I don't know. It was just a great thing to be associated with at the time. I thought, God, this is great, you know. It's like little stepping stones. When you have a career and you've been doing it since you're 15 years old, you know, these things, like sometimes my manager, Liz, will say, aren't you excited about that? Aren't you thrilled? I was like, well, yeah, you know, but I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I started off, I went to Hollywood to knock on doors on publishers and stuff when I was like, you know, I was 17 and a half. So I wound up getting a songwriter deal, a staff songwriter at this publishing company. And, you know, that's what I did. I wrote songs and I made $50 a week. I don't know what else to do. It's like, you know, I've had some odd jobs in my life, but I was terrible at them. I worked at a car parker place. I caused so much damage. I mean, it was ridiculous. I worked as a dishwasher at the Chicken Kitchen when I was 17. You know, but I was never been very good at other jobs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So many quiet walks to take.
I think we're gonna need some time. I love that vocal, that part, how you hit that. We're gonna need some time.
That's a bitch to do that note.
I think we're gonna need some time.
There's so much power in that at the very end when you do the falsetto.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Was that something that you just came up when you were recording, or did they want you to do that? Or because that just seems like it's kind of in the pocket. And you do the falsetto.
I was going with a girl then named Tony, and you know, we had a big relationship for a while. And I sang that last line. It's at the very, very end of the record. And I sing, someone tell me how much should I love you. And I say it at the very, very end. And, you know, I was mostly did it for her back then.
Maybe it's you.
Nominated for an Oscar. You sang it at the Oscars, and that was actually a pretty big thing because, like, they didn't let a lot of artists sing their own songs. Like Phil Collins didn't get to sing, you know, his own song when Against All Odds, and you sang it.
Telling me it might be you.
I did the Oscars. I was scared to death on the Oscars. And I had this great, you know, my manager back then thought I should get a choreographer. So it was just going to be me singing the song. But so he worked out all the. So I was scared to death. Yeah. I was really, because, you know, I wound up, you know, you can program yourself to be nervous or not nervous. And everybody asked me about 2 months before this, doing the Oscars, are you nervous? Are you scared? Are you nervous? What if you forget the lyrics? Like, ah.
Yeah, so putting it in your head.
It was all in my head. I was scared to death. I didn't sleep for like 5 nights before. I mean, I was a wreck. And this guy, Kenny Ortega, who was all things to help Michael Jackson, went through all these moves with me, you know. And so there I am on the Oscars going, you know, And it's telling me it might be you, you know, and all these weird moves, you know. God.
Well, it should have won the Oscar, but Alan and Marilyn Bergman had 3 songs up for the Oscar that year. And they say that they split the votes because they had 3 different songs they had written that were nominated for the Oscar.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Was that How Do You Keep the Music Playing? Mm-hmm. One of them?
The Oscars are amazing and so big, but it's just like, you know, it's not like I really can hardly wait to do the Oscars. It's like so much months of preparation. You know, before I did that first, that was in '83. For It Might Be You, I went through, you know, I couldn't sleep, and I made the mistake of telling everybody, I'm really nervous. They said, are you really nervous? And then I talk about being nervous, and, you know, I have too many of those conversations, and sure enough, I was scared to death. The thing is that if you forget a lyric, a line at the Oscars, you'll never live it down. Yeah. I mean, it just, people will hate me.
Well, it lost to An Officer and a Gentleman, which Up Where We Belong, which Taylor Hackford directed that, and then later on,
that's funny.
He used your song "Separate Lives," which got nominated for an Oscar a few years later for White Nights. I thought that was.
And then I sang it. Yeah, I sang it there. Yeah. I sang it as a part of a kind of medley. They wanted to cut the time.
I won an Oscar because I should have got one with Separate Lives.
You should have.
The nominees for original song are
Separate Lives from White Nights, music and lyric by Stephen Bishop.
But I lost one to Lionel Richie for his song "Say You, Say Me, Say I'm Going to Steal Steve's Award." So
the winner is Lionel Richie for "Say You, Say Me" and "White Nights."
But he's Lionel Richie, so
Well, It Might Be You. The other thing that I read about that story behind the song back in the day, is that all the books on the #1 hits and the stories behind them, is that Alan said that Bergman, that they wanted it for 2 sequences in the film.
Right.
You know, and he talked about
I did 2 different vocals.
Yeah. But they wanted to use a song that the vocalist to sing that. I read that the reason they wanted to use because they wanted something that was ambiguous, that wasn't like, this is a man, this is a woman, that was just, you know, just very ambiguous. And they wanted... That's
ambiguous? What is that, LGBT or something?
Yeah. Anyway, I read that.
I'm a manly man. What's going on here?
I've been saving love songs and love.
Hugely popular in the Philippines. Everybody knows this song.
Everybody, from little children to older people. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
You just went over there and you documented
I just went over there just crazy nuts over this song. Still, we have it on tape. You'll see it on the video. But I mean, they just, something about the song. The Philippine people, they love romantic songs anyway. They love a lot of their own hits. They always want me to do a Philippine song, but I never did because it's, you know, lady, you know, it's just not my thing.
Well, Roberta Flack covered it. Dave Koz with India Ari. Johnny Mathis covered it.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
And then used in Family Guy.
Can we not do that? I have such a headache. Sorry.
They did that on The Simpsons, too, with Animal House.
Yeah.
They did, you know, Homer was like, I love that song. Or something like that.
House. Nobody ever went to class.
You know, the truth is, nobody else could have sung this song with the conviction and the tenderness that Stephen Bishop brought to it. I mean, maybe Dan Fogelberg, but Stephen Bishop nailed it. You know what I mean? Thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about Stephen Bishop and about Tootsie and It Might Be You. Such a great song, such a great movie. I just watched it a couple days ago with my wife because I knew I'd be doing this. And Stephen Bishop, what a talent. What other movie songs should we cover from the 70s, 80s, or 90s? Let us know below. Let's have a great discussion. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth.